with regard to the library. If you could please come to the podium, we look forward to your presentation. When you come, if you please introduce yourself and your role in this process, that would be great. We all know Jennifer Puccini, so thank you, Jennifer, and we look forward to the thoughts
Jen
today.
needs no introduction, but hello, everybody. I am Christy Monk with FEH Design, project manager and architect. I could give you more names I'm sure I've been called, but I'll just stop there. And thank you for being present for the Committee of the Whole presentation tonight. I know that we're aiming for a 7:30 completion, so I'm going to hit the high points. And this is, you know, only as formal as we want to make it. So if you have questions as I'm going through the slides, feel free to shout out a question, or you can hold it till the end.
So new council members, if anybody wants to speak, just jump in on this discussion.
Yeah.
That would be great. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm Christy with FEH. Our color is awesome purple. I see I'm wearing blue today, so I did very well with the dress code, but we have been in business for over 125 years. Designing libraries are my specialty. So I've been doing this for 22 years, and libraries are my jam. I've worked throughout the Midwest on a variety of different libraries, from the planning process, where this project is starting, through construction. Jen, did you want to say anything? I'm not trying to, okay. Okay. Who here, with raise of hands, has looked at the 100 and some page booklet and read it in great detail? Okay.
I'm
See,
lying.
I feel like you're like obligated to raise your hand at this point, but that's okay. This is going to take you through the high points. I want to make sure everybody can hear me properly. Height adjustable podium for next time, guys. So we have goals for success for this process. We worked with a core planning committee made up of library board members, friends group, staff members, and some members of the public, and then some alderpersons, people, alders, there we go, and worked on these goals for success. So as part of this process, the goal is to create a library that will provide ample space to meet the current and future needs of the community, expand and reinforce the Oconomowoc Public Library as a community hub, create a community showcase highlighting artists, authors, and community events, be culturally, financially, and environmentally sustainable. This is the only slide I'll read all the lines on. Showcase services being provided inside the library, improve space dedication for all age groups, provide barrier-free access for everyone, provide programmable outdoor space, provide flexible and adaptable infrastructure, increase technology access for the community, and develop a flexible space that optimizes use by staff and provides future needs for the community. So those are the big umbrella goals that we are using as we go through this process, or as we have gone through this process. You might say a library is where we house our books. Okay, that is a part of a library, but a 21st century library does a lot more. We've got large programming room spaces. You might notice that the colors in these pictures are a little bit different than some of the libraries that you might be familiar with. We've got a variety of seating options. We've got maker space. We've got small meeting spaces, variety of heights of spaces. We've got a fireplace. We've got a living room feel for some of the library components, more of a merchandising feel because sometimes people pick books out based on the cover. Have you ever done that, Jen? So I have. And we've got maker spaces. We also have community meeting spaces. And as you know, the library does have the conference room and the large meeting room. I'm going to call it the medium meeting room, because it's kind of medium-sized for what we would typically see. These are the current library stats as of 2023. So you can see, based on the service population, circulation numbers are high, library visits are high, programming numbers, you can do a lot of programming in your building, even with your medium-sized conference room. Got a lot of usage. I tried to check out a study room today and they were booked. So I was there for about 2 hours working on this presentation, among other things. So a lot of usage in the library. The Library of Things at 190 items just keeps getting bigger. People were checking out their Easter baking pans today, which I thought was pretty great. The existing building is 24,125 square feet. As we look 20 years into the future, we're looking at how much space should the current inventory occupy? What size would the building be if it were to offer those programs and have the resources that a library of this community size could or should offer? And then how do we look 20 years in the future and provide the appropriate amount of space? And that gets us to 54,804 square feet. So it's a little bit of a difference between 24,000 to 54,000 square feet.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
You made a statement that we're really high usage. Can you put some relevance? So high to one person means it's at 90% capacity. To another person, it could be at 60% capacity. When you look at libraries of similar size in similar communities, how does this compare from the activities that are happening there? Because right now you're basically doubling the square footage,
Yes.
which I understand, but I don't know where we are now. The word high doesn't help me.
Okay. In terms of usage compared to other similar libraries, or in terms of, want to talk about this at all, or do you want me to take it?
I don't have numbers.
Okay, nope, nope. Excuse me, so when I say high, I'm looking at number of volumes housed per capita. You are housing higher, like a higher amount of materials per user than other similar libraries of this size, and you are moving more materials, and that means that based on your population size, people are checking out a lot of materials, and you're also housing more materials in a smaller amount of space than other libraries this size.
So they're doing a great job and very efficient.
And I would generally say that librarians excel at doing that. In general, they can fit a lot in a little space. But when you look at 21st century libraries, we're talking about ADA accessible aisle widths. We're talking about slightly lower shelves. We're not putting books on the low shelf in some of the collection areas. We're not filling those shelves up 100%. We might fill them up 75 to 80%. We're talking living room feel for certain specific areas of the building. Around that fireplace, we don't want to cram too many chairs in there. So we're looking at targeted areas for a little bit more breathing room and also lower shelving. The space needs program that you see on the screen here does look at the current size of the space. So we've got like the adult collection size. We are proposing 15,000 square feet, and right now it's 10,008. So the differential there is not, I mean, it's significant, but when you look at the difference of the whole, it's not all in the adult area. It's in the programming space. So it's in the maker space, it's in the large meeting room, it's in some of the storage spaces. If you've been in the back staff space, have you been in the staff space for the library? It's pretty packed in there. There's a lot of stuff, and you guys are very efficient, but it'd be better, you know, not to house storage in an egress corridor. Don't tell the fire marshal. But this spreadsheet, which is also in your booklet, does have the existing square footages that you can use to compare to the proposed square footages. Differential for children, we've got 2,000 square feet, and we're proposing 9,000 square feet. That includes the children's program area for 50 children, and so you can look at that in more detail, because I know everybody loves to nerd out on the numbers, I can tell. We also did include information in the booklet about an unstaffed branch. Part of the request for proposal included input on this component. So how do you improve library service to the areas that the community is expanding while maintaining the library in this location or potentially moving the library? So Typically, a population of about 50,000 people is the tipping point for a branch. We worked with National Library Planner Anders Dahlgren on this component for the branch, and we used comparative and peer data to come up with these recommendations. But essentially, you can do a branch that is a smaller collection of your main library, which is more traditional, or you can do a branch as a separate entity, and that separate entity could just be a book return, it could be delivery lockers, it could be vending for library material, or it could be an express branch. That would be maybe 1,000 square feet maximum that would have a modest collection, like what's the popular materials, the ones that you can pick, the Lucky Day, is that what it is? Lucky Day materials, maybe you'd have some Lucky Day materials there, and some study rooms, and a place to return books. So there's information in the full packet, a whole like 14 pages of branch information, because Anders likes to drive his point. Oh, wow, that transition was so great. So some of you here, I recognize from our Spark session. So we had a 2-day Spark. It was 2 different days, and we came up with a variety of different sketches. You can see this is not your instance, but essentially the advisory task force met 4 times. 2 of those times were at the Spark. We're generating ideas, we're getting public input. We had over 70 separate, I think it was more than 70 people attend the meetings over the course of the 4 days. The Spark was 2 design workshop days, and that group came up with recommendations. The recommendations are to provide an addition to and renovation of the existing library. There was not a lot of support for moving the library to a different location. So our Spark focused on how do we stay at the current location for the library, and how might we expand? And then how might we keep the library on city-owned property, not lose too much parking as part of this expansion, and how would we, excuse me, provide a drive-up book drop and pick-up window. Those are definitely, that's like a 21st century newest thing, is a pickup window, like McDonald's, but for books. So there were 3 options that we
I
developed.
do have one question.
Yes, sir.
How were the group of 70 selected?
It
So you
was
said
public.
It was public, they
Yep,
could
anybody
volunteer,
could come.
anybody could volunteer?
Yep.
Wonderful.
So we identified a group of individuals, and then the core committee reached out to them directly, since that personal ask is how we thought they would get there the best. And then we publicized the information, and there were posters around, and we just, my understanding is social media, print media, got the word out, and everybody was invited. And then we had people who were coming to the library who came into our Spark, so it was pretty great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, we have 19,000 as far as plus or minus individuals here in the city of Oconomowoc, and you had mentioned 50,000, okay? I don't see why we need to go from 24,000 GSF to 54,808.
From a space needs standpoint,
Yeah, I'm having a problem with that. If you
Okay.
can just explain more in detail. And the other thing is, for us to expand the library, we're going to lose parking spaces
you haven't seen my concepts yet.
unless you're going to go up. Okay.
Yep. I mean, we heard quite a bit from the advisory task force about not wanting to lose parking, if at all possible. So the concepts generally have a smaller footprint, and then they go vertical. Yep, so we've got 3 different concepts that have various impacts on parking.
And the other concern is if we do go up, then we're going to need more parking.
Yes, and that is a very good point. And if we do maintain our building footprint on the city-owned property, because the bank owns the property to the north, we will be limited with how vertical we might be able to do in terms of a parking structure, which is kind of outside the scope.
A parking structure, I like that.
Okay, I think that it might become a necessary thing
I
in
like
order
that.
to accommodate the sheer number
Now
of
I'm
people.
listening.
Oh,
Because
yes?
it's not in
Okay.
the south parking lot.
Now I'm listening. Let's go.
If
Oh,
you're
I
good,
didn't know
let's
that was
keep-
the magic
let's keep
word. I
moving
should have led
forward.
with that.
Kevin's happy. Can we move forward?
I'm
please?
happy
Okay.
now. Let's go.
I just want to briefly touch on the space needs again, just to, so right now you have a meeting room that is about 1,190. The large, put it in air quotes, meeting room is 1,190 square feet. We are proposing a divisible room that will serve 250 people at 3,300. And then you would be able to break it up into like a 2/3, 1/3. So you'd be able to check this out for larger meeting rooms. And then we've got a slightly larger conference room, maker space, additional tutoring spaces. We've got a lactation room, group study spaces. So a lot of the additional square footage that we're looking at is in meeting room space. Some of it is in the collection and in the children's area, it's in the children's creative play space, and the children's program area, because those are two areas that staff and the core committee had identified as important. And then the group from the public did corroborate that information. They actually added, they thought the makerspace was too small, but we didn't make it bigger. At least not for this exercise so far. So that's how we get from the 24 to the 54, is through additional, question?
Sorry, I was just
Oh,
waving
you're
at a
waving
really
at the
cute
audience?
little
That's
girl back there that waved.
Oh, okay. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to go fast. But you're asking good questions, and I would like you to continue, and I'm sorry about the transition. Option B, did you want to add anything? Okay. Option B, you look at this and you're like, I know exactly what you're showing me, Christy. Probably not. We have, essentially, we are filling in the L. So if we go back to the existing building, this parking area here would be removed. So we are filling in the L with the purple young adult area and the tan staff area. So the existing building is kind of the orange of the meeting room and the blue of the adult area. And then we would be providing young adult and staff space along with moving the entrance to the corner here. So right now, the entrance is here to the south, and we would be creating a new entrance hypothetically on this northwest so that you'd be able to go vertical. You'd have an elevator for materials and for people, and then we would put the youth department upstairs. When you start to look at how the current staff configuration would work in an expanded building, certain departments work better to go vertical and be separate. So the youth area is one of those. So this would have the youth area on the upper level and then an outdoor patio associated with that upper level.
Actually, I have a question on option B.
Yeah.
So the other gentleman that works for you, and I apologize, I don't remember his name. that was
Kevin
on-
the talker?
What was it?
Kevin the talker?
Well, I wasn't going to say that.
That's okay.
He was the one that was on the original design for the original building, correct? Didn't he talk about that a
Yes,
little bit?
Kevin and Greg were both involved with the original library concept design.
And then didn't one of them share at one time that this part, you know, like what you're showing right here, that was kind of the vision back then, is if we ever had to add on to the library, this is where we would want to do it?
Yes, that is a good point.
Okay.
According to him, I do not have evidence in the booklet to corroborate this.
Okay.
But yes, based on his input, it would be essentially filling in the L, like option B, not necessarily going vertical, but the idea is that it would expand into that parking lot. Yeah. Another option that got traction was option F2. So the three that we're going to go through today did receive the most positive votes from our final day of voting by the task force. So this area maintains the L of the building with the youth area and the staff area, and then it creates essentially a 3-level atrium space on the east side of the library. And then The drive lane would be maintained below that along with the parking. You might lose a handful of parking spaces based on how the columns would work. But it does put the adult and the young adult on the second level, and then it would put the meeting rooms on the third level. And you could do something really cool with like an outdoor patio if you wanted to. But yes, that is option F2. And then option G1 fills in the L and essentially fills to the north. You would eliminate the drive lane there and those parking spaces, but this keeps everything all on one level, which is nice from a staffing and supervision standpoint. And it has a little courtyard in the middle. Yes, sir.
I'm making the assumption that each one of these three options can handle the extra capacity you're talking about. Like, there isn't one where it's a little bit less capacity, and I think 54,000.
Right now, all of these show the square footage that was listed in the space needs.
Cool, thank you.
Yep, that's a great question, though. I apologize for my yellow lines that are very crooked on this slide, but those three options that we did review, we put together conceptual budgets for what the overall costs for those options would be. And F2, which was the 3-level atrium space, is the highest cost because it has the most levels. But you would be looking at a potential investment of $23.3 million in 26 bid numbers in order to renovate and add on to the existing building. And then I did just want to point out in your packet that the concept budgets do include the building construction, the site work construction, and then they include what we call soft construction costs, which are not in the bid. So the intent is that the numbers that you see are all inclusive numbers that would include like fees, insurance, quality control and testing, like those things that aren't necessarily part of construction. So just so you're aware, we're not saying the building should be 23.26 million. We're saying the building plus the site work plus all of those additional costs, the lump of money would need to be, the lump, look at me getting all fancy with my words here, would need to equal that number. So in terms of next steps, we are on step number 1, work session. Thank you for allowing me to be here to present to you. Number 2, get the results out there. Tell people the results that were generated as part of this process. If you want to get additional input beyond the task force members, you could consider, are you pointing at my stuff and laughing at it?
No, agreeing with the,
Okay. Yeah, you better. Okay. Consider a community-wide survey. Oftentimes that survey can inform and get additional information. So you can say, are you aware that the library has done this process? Are you aware that the library is not large enough? And then conduct a fundraising feasibility study. And then based on that fundraising feasibility information, you could pick a design that has an associated budget. You could put it in the computer, but use the information that's been generated thus far to submit for grants. There are dollars out there, I promise you that. And then determine how much money you could fundraise, what you have for grants, where the money might come from, to then figure out which option or which piece of the option you would be able to do based on those fundraised dollars.
Any estimates at all on the grants? Just curious what those kind of dollars
It
would look
really
like.
depends, because I'm working on a project right now that got the flexible facility program grant dollars, and that maximum was 4.25 million. That was significant, and but it was tailored towards communities that are less connected via broadband. So oftentimes what I see is fundraised dollars that's more like a grassroots campaign made up of dollar amounts that are typically a series of 5-figure or less dollar amounts. But from a grant standpoint, the Carver Trust is a good one. Yes, there are grants out there, but usually, well, in my experience, you'd have to get like a statewide grant to get those bigger dollars, and the other ones would be closer to the $50,000 range.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Don't have
Christie,
definite things. Yes.
Question. Is it customary for the organization or the company that's doing the study and the analysis to also do the design build? Because that's kind of what this looks like to me.
Yes, it's not required. You can have somebody do the concept design and then somebody else do the next design. Our hope is that you would be pleased with the process and the level of care that we've provided throughout this process thus far, that you'd want to work with us on the next step.
I mean, it looks awesome, and I think we do need to do something as far as updating the library and looking out to the future, but right now, this looks like a lot to chew on.
Yes.
It's a big ask, and it's a lot to
Start-
chew on.
Start with the next step too. Get the word out there. And then my can you share that you're working on? Jen's working on step 4, fundraising feasibility study.
I had a
Essentially-
question on that, too, if you don't mind.
Okay.
A fundraising feasibility study, what's the cost on that? Is there a cost on that, I'm assuming?
Yes, you guys, I already have the money for it. I got a grant and then some.
Okay, okay. Sorry to interrupt, but that was another question. Thank you.
Do
Okay.
you know what it is approximately? Like how much money do you?
Well, the RFP is going out on Thursday.
Okay.
And then I'll get some bids.
Okay, we'll get hard numbers. Jen will get hard numbers. We were talking about the process, and oftentimes, since we did contribute on the design side, we'll work with the fundraising individual who gets selected and kind of go back and forth on the finer points of the design and how that might relate to the funds that they could raise.
Another just quick
Yes.
question. In all your images, you have a children's section, a youth section, a staff section, and an adult section. Am I to assume, and I think I know the answer, but there's not a specialty senior section, and that's built into the adult sections, I mean?
Are you talking about meeting room spaces? Are you talking about collection spaces like large print? Are you talking?
I'm looking at all your pictures. I've never seen the word senior, so I'm assuming seniors are bundled in with adults. Is that correct?
Yes, that plus the meeting room space, yes, would
Okay.
accommodate seniors.
Thank you.
And yeah, study rooms, they like to study.
But just to clarify, because I know there's been conversation about this is in no way like an add-on of our senior center.
No,
Right.
Right.
Correct, it is the library.
not the way you presented it, yeah, you're correct. Any other questions, comments? We really appreciate you coming. Oh,
One more question.
Karen?
Yeah.
Did you happen to do the analysis or the build on the new Berlin Library?
Okay, I
It was maybe 15 years ago?
think we might have, but I was not directly involved with that.
I was looking at
so
some of your pictures, and they looked, part of the design looked similar. I was just
Don't
curious.
quote me on that. I think
Okay.
we've been involved with a lot of libraries, and I want to say everyone is special. I didn't get to work on all of them, unfortunately, so I'm
There's a
sorry.
lot to consider. I mean, the New Berlin Library is fantastic, it's beautiful, but a lot of times you could shoot a cannon through there and not hit anybody, and it's like 48,000 square feet, and their population's over 30,000. Just kind of some things for us to consider and think
Yeah.
through as far as how much we can do.
I will say, as just a closing comment, thank you for having me. When I was at the library today, it was about a little after 4. The teen area was full, the study rooms were full. Quite a few people were completing their taxes and using the copy machines, and it was very bustling. I didn't have to fight for a table, but I definitely had to look for one.
I mean, I'm not surprised that at this point, that's where we're at, but I'm just thinking, how big is too big that it's,
I mean, I want to build you a cathedral to books, but I don't want it to be empty. So that's why we got to jazz it up with a lot of that technology, flexible spaces, and meeting spaces.
thank you.
Yep.
any other comments from council? Well, thank you very much for coming. Jen,
Thank
any
you, everybody,
closing
for
remarks
having
from the
me.
library?
Good to see you.
Yep.
If you have questions, please reach out to Jen, and she'll get them to me.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jen, any other closing comments?
Say thank you for letting Christy present, and I'll keep you guys posted, and feasibility studies happening, that RFP's out, and I will keep you guys in the loop.
Thank you very much. I'd like to entertain a motion to close the committee of the whole.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We're going to get set up, folks. In a couple minutes, we'll start the common council meeting. Thank you for your patience. If you have any comments or questions during the comments section or the public hearing, there are blue cards. Please fill those out and provide those to our chief or to Mr. Gallo, who's up at the podium.
Who said that? Watch out, watch out, watch out.
Do we have it yet? We've got everybody. Where's Karen? Does anybody see Karen?
Rock in a hard place. She went to the restroom, I think.
Oh, okay. We'll give her a sec. Then we'll get started.
Which topic did you want?
We're just waiting for one alderman, and we'll get started. We'll give her another minute or so. And council meeting for Tuesday, April 15th, 2025. Has appropriate meeting notification been made?
Yes, Your Honor.
At this time, if you'd please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Andy Maroney, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Call roll, please.
Alderman McConnell.
Here.
Alderman Youngworth.
Here.
Alderman Rosick is excused. Alderman Altman Cloth.
Here.
Alderman Ellis.
Here.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Here.
Alderman Mulder's been excused. Alderman Shellpepper.
Here.
Thank you.
Well, welcome, everybody. Before we start with our ceremonial oath of office for the newly elected officials, I'd like to just give a shout out to Alderman Andy Maroney and also Alderman Chris Douglas, who have served the city and given of their time to the city of Oconomowoc. So I'd like to turn it over to you, Gina, for our ceremonial oath of office.
Thank you, Mayor. So tonight, we're going to be doing a group ceremonial oath, and I'd like to call forward the newly elected and re-elected aldermen. So Karen Spiegelberg, re-elected as alderperson for District 1. If you could just stand at the front. Rusty McConnell, newly elected alderperson for District 2. Eric Youngworth, newly elected alderperson, District 3. And Kevin Ellis, re-elected alderperson for District 4. So the Municipal Board of Canvassers certified the election night results, awarding you winners of that. And tonight, we're doing a group ceremonial oath. So what I'll do is come forward.
So for the audience, they actually have been working before that ceremonial swearing in. I think it was about 5 days after the election, both of the new aldermen were sworn in to their existing office. So they've already been hard at work getting up to speed on a lot of things happening here in the city of Oconomowoc. Without objection, I would like to bring forth one item before the public hearings. And that item is number 11A. And that's to consider act and authorizing the issuance and establishing parameters for this sale not to exceed 3.060000 general obligation promissory note series 2025A. No objections? Thank you. This saves us money because they come, and if we can get them out of here, we don't get charged more. So we're going to turn it over to our finance director, Lori Murray Sullivan. Sullivan Murray.
Yes, that's okay. 3 more times. So tonight, after our budget meetings last year, our capital budget meetings, you have approved a street plan for 2025. Last month, you approved the contracts for the street plan to 2025. And tonight, our financial advisor, Phil Cousin from Ellers, will go through the financing for that project. So with that, Phil, why don't you go ahead and get started?
Great, thank you. Thank you, Mayor, council members. Good evening. Phil Costin with Ellers. I understand this is a board packet or council packet 117. There are 2 documents. I'm going to talk primarily about the pre-sale report. In your packet, it looks like this. This is the cover page of that. There's a second document, a corresponding document, that is the resolution. And the resolution is actually prepared and provided by Quarles and Brady, which is the city's bond attorney as well. So the 2 documents kind of work off of each other. Before I get into either one of them, maybe a little introduction for the new council members who don't know this face. I work with Ellers and Associates. We're a local municipal advisory firm. Work for about 300 plus local units of government in the state of Wisconsin. We conduct a lot of different business, depends on what the community looks for, but a lot of our work centers around everything kind of financial. So issuance of debt, creation of tax increment districts, paying agent services, investment services, those kind of things. So that's who we are, and I've had the privilege of working for the city for a number of years now, and I've always enjoyed the relationship despite your city attorney. Sorry, Stan, I couldn't help it. As you can imagine, before I jump into the documents, the financial markets have been tumultuous over the last 2 weeks. We've seen a great deal of volatility in the bond market, not just the stock market. We're keeping close tabs on what's happening in the bond market, and over the last 2 weeks, we've had to postpone a couple of sales that we're going to conduct for different municipalities, just due to the volatility that we are seeing in the marketplace. So one thing that's a little bit different for the city this time around is that we're going to be doing a parameters resolution. And so this document, as provided by Quarles and Brady, and I'll talk about the parameters in a little bit, spells out the parameters for the sale. And the rationale and the thought behind a parameter sale is that we want flexibility, especially in this type of environment. So the parameters allows us to conduct the sale. We have a date that we have targeted, but it doesn't have to be on a council meeting night, so that we have the flexibility to move the sale. As I just indicated, we had a couple general obligation issues that we had to pull last week. We pulled one again today. So those were parameter sales that allow us to move the sale to a more, what we think, favorable time for the city to issue debt. So I'll go through the parameters. We prepare all the same documentation. All the information will be provided to the council. We always provide post-sale occurring. It just won't happen on a regular council meeting night typically. It could if that's the night we choose, but that's the first reason. Second reason is at this time of year, it's spring, so there's a lot of construction happening throughout the state of Wisconsin. Every community pretty much meets on Monday and Tuesday nights, so I'm never home Monday and Tuesday nights. And as such, you compete with a lot of other issuers out there. So we tend to do parameter sales on Wednesdays or Thursdays to kind of free up the calendar, and you're not competing against as many other issues in the marketplace at that point. So those are the two main reasons to do a parameter sale. And again, the parameters that we have established are in the resolution, and I'll talk about those in a little more detail. As Laurie indicated, this is your 2025 capital budget. It centers around street projects and the water utility. That's what's being financed. We have no TIF-related debt related to this, nothing sewer-related or stormwater-related. It's really streets and water utility. We will be doing what we have historically done, and that's a competitive issue, meaning we'll prepare an official statement, which is like a prospectus on the city that gets mailed out to all the different banks and underwriters that are local, state, regional, and national. And what we expect when we do that is somewhere between 3 and 8 bids, depending on the size of the issue, the credit quality of the issue, all those different factors that come into play. So just like if you're going to put a roof on City Hall and you take bids, we do the same thing for your money. We send it out, and low bid, as long as they're a qualified broker and or bank, we will award to them. We know all the players. We're in the market on a weekly basis with different issues, so we know all the players. So this will be a competitive sale. This will be a 10-year note. Again, historically, you've been very conservative in how quickly you pay back your debt, unless it's related to like a tax increment district and we're trying to match the revenues and the expenses. In this case, this is going to be paid back through the utility, the water utility, and through the general levy. And as such, we want to pay those debts back as quick as possible. So we are doing a kind of traditional, I will say, 10-year note, which is really what the city has done over the last number of years. We do have a call feature, usually 7 years of the 10-year issue, and that's kind of art and science combined. But this allows you the ability to prepay and or refinance the debt in years 7, 8, 9, until that 10-year issue is retired. And again, it gives you some flexibility in case rates drop in a period of time. You can refinance the debt without any issue without any prepayment type penalty. We'll go through the rating process as we always do. So you're rated by Moody's Investors Service as AA1, very strong rating. I don't anticipate any issue with your AA1 rating. I expect that's where you're going to end up as well. The next step up is AAA. There's only a few of those in the state of Wisconsin. What's held the city back, at least when I look back at the rating report from the last issue, the primary holdback is just the size of the community. So that's really the main issue that's out there. Just the overall tax base. You score very well in all the financial indices. You fare very well when it comes to all the wealth indices as well. There's about 15 to 20 factors they look at. So we would expect you'll at least maintain that AA1 rating. And as always, we'll push for an upgrade, but don't cross your fingers. It's going to be a tough one. So the parameters that I talked about, what we attempt to do when we set a parameter for an issue is we want to make sure that it's flexible enough for the bidders to be a bit creative in how they structure the debt, especially in these environments. So what we have in here is a maximum size of $3,060,000. That's what's on your resolution, so it'll not exceed that amount. We have a maximum bid of 108, a minimum bid of 99. Those are just bidding parameters of how they structure their bids when they submit it to us. Those are pretty standard in the marketplace. We also have a maximum true interest cost of 3.92%. There's some, that's just not a number I pulled from, from my head. So the 3.92% is from a recent general obligation note sale for a similar rated community plus 50 basis points. And we want to provide a little bit of room in case the market continues to move. If you sold today, we think you would be better than that 392. Finally, in the parameters, we also allow for the ability to move principal and payments around to achieve our goals of a structure. And I'll talk about the structure in a little bit so that we don't have peaks and valleys in your debt service levy, but a relatively flat and declining debt service levy to give you flexibility for future financings as well. So with all of that, if it's awarded, if you approve the parameters resolution tonight, that gives us authorization to proceed. We, again, start working with city staff. They already have the information. Where we start preparing that official statement, which we need to conduct the rating report with Moody's Investor Service, send that out to prospective bidders. And then our goal at this point is to award the sale on May 15th, again with the understanding that that could move, just depending on where the market ends up. And then the closing schedule for May 29th. So that's what we have targeted right now. We will stay in constant contact with city staff just to make sure they're aware of what's happening in our marketplace and whether or not we need to slide those dates at all. In the packet, we have prepared a number of exhibits. Wasn't going to spend a lot of time on those, but rather just explain to you that our goal when we do any type of financing is to make sure, again, that we boil this down to what is the impact to the average homeowner in the city, and that's what we boil this down to. So in our packet, if you look at table number 4, that's what it really drives to. So we're looking at, again, trying to, if you're looking at table 4 and you're looking at the 4th column from the right, you can see what we identify for the total tax rate for debt service. So this is all debt related after offsetting revenue. So you have general obligation debt that's outstanding. Some of that's being paid from different sources, such as your tax increment districts, water utility, and sewer utility. What we're trying to boil this down to is ultimately what is going to be on your debt levy and budgeted for on an annual basis. Again, with the goal that we don't have these peaks and valleys in your debt service levy, and that we have a declining debt service levy when you look at it over the overall tax base of the city, so that you have the ability in the future to take on additional projects without seeing a spike in your tax rate. So that's what we've identified in Table 4. Table 5 will be a topic with Moody's Investor Service, and that is what % of your borrowing capacity have you used? You're in great shape. You're at 21%. I always joke, it's easy to borrow money, it's hard to pay it back. So you have plenty of capacity to take on whatever the city needs in the future without harming your rating. So you're in really good financial position. So that's what we have for you tonight. If you're comfortable, then we're asking you to approve the resolution, the parameters in the resolution, and then again, we'll stay in touch with city staff just to make sure that we're on that schedule. We have seen things moderate the last 2 days in the bond market. We hope that continues now that some of the tariff discussion has kind of calmed down. So hopefully that'll continue and we see rates start to drop a little bit.
Good. Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Cosson? Or for our finance director, Ms. Sullivan Murray?
I do have one. Just to confirm, these projects have already been approved, that we've already had them bid out. We just need to approve how we're paying for it now?
Correct.
Okay.
Good question. Any other comments? I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
I'll move to authorize the issuance and establish parameters for the sale of not to exceed $3,060,000 in general obligation promissory notes, Series 2025A.
I'll second it.
Any further questions or comments from council? Call roll, please.
Alderman McConnell,
Aye.
Alderman Youngworth,
Aye.
Alderman Altman-Cloth,
Aye.
Alderman Ellis,
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg,
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil, for coming in.
Thank you, and I
for your
appreciate
great
you
work.
moving me up on the agenda also.
You're welcome.
Have a good
You're
night.
welcome. Great. I have one more request of council without objection. I'd like to just bring forth the mayoral citizen appointments forward. By bringing them forward, these are all the people that are giving their time and their energy with no compensation for city committees. You have all of that into your packets. Any objection if I bring that forward? Without hearing an objection, we're going to consider the mayoral citizen appointments, reappointments with council confirmation. You have all of them in your packets. About half to 3/4 of the people in there are here. All new appointees are here. If council would like to bring anyone forward, ask them any questions, I'm happy to do so. For those of you that are continuing to serve the city of Oconomowoc as residents, just thank you very much. And for those that are coming on board new, we look forward to working with you. Do we have any questions or comments from council? Alderman Altman-Cloth.
I don't have necessarily a question, but, and I've only been around for about 3 years, but I have to say, in the different boards that I have been able to serve on, I just want to say, and just thank you to Dean Frederick, and I know I saw you here. I've served on the Plan Commission with him for the last year, and for somebody who's not paid and volunteers of his time, the amount of effort that he puts into Plan Commission is, there's just no words. So just thank you for your dedication to the city, and it's just been a privilege to serve with you the last year.
Hats off. I think we need an applause. Thanks, Dean. Council, if you'd like to ask anyone to come up. Again, not everybody can make it for this meeting, but the new appointees are here if you have any questions. Without hearing any questions, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the mayoral appointments for this coming calendar year.
I'll make that motion. Altman-Cloth.
Second?
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman McConnell.
Aye.
Alderman Youngworth.
Aye.
Alderman Altman-Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
So again, thank you all for your incredible work, and also, please feel free to leave. I try to bring you forward so you don't have to sit through the whole program, because you do so much for the city already. So you're not being rude by stepping out if you want to, but we'd love to have you stay. And for everyone else being patient, now we're going to go back to our regular agenda, so thank you very much. We are now going to move into our public hearing section. If you'd like to make comments regarding the public hearing section, remember these are the blue cards. Jason Gallo is happy to pass those out if anybody would like to come up and make a comment. We have 2 public hearings. We'll do one and then the other. So we'll first start out. I'll read the public hearing, and then we'll open it up. Jason will give us an overview of what's going on, and then we'll open it up for comments. So Prairie Creek Ridge Comp Plan Amendment and Rezone. The purpose is to hear a comment to amend the land use map within the city's comprehensive land use plan 2050 on 20.71 acres and rezone the total of 36.62 acres located at the southwest corner of Brown Street, which is Highway P and Highway K. The parcel is identified by the tax code, and the east 20.71 acres are designated on the land use map as a commercial and office use and zone general commercial district. The request is to change the 20.71 acres on the land use map to suburban residential and rezone the 20.71 acres and the adjacent 15.913 acres on the site for a total of 36.623 acres to suburban residential district with a planned development overlay or PD overlay. If approved, the property owner intends to construct 90 single-family residential homes to be known as Prairie Creek Ridge Number 11 subdivision. The planned development overlay is needed for the requested zoning flexibility to reduce the minimum lot size from 70 to 65 feet, reduce the front yard setback on the corner lots from 25 to 20 feet, and reduce the side yard setbacks from 10 to 7.5 feet. Mr. Gallo.
Thank you, Mayor, common council. We have a public hearing this evening. This is your first public hearing, so thank you to the new alderman for being here this evening. I lumped all of the items under this application in one hearing, so we can kind of talk about all of it at one time, and then we'll open it up for public. I have a location map on the screen. It shows the areas, 2 different boxes here. There is going to be the comprehensive plan amendment, and the rezoning is the blue area, and then the yellow is the PD amendment that was at the last part of what you read in the public hearing notice. Let me back up by saying what a comprehensive plan is. Every city is required to have a comprehensive plan. It's basically the crystal ball that the city has that's been approved by the city council that says this is, part of that plan is a map that shows what land use designation is on every parcel. It can be parcels that are already built on, and it can be vacant land. And this parcel in here, I'll show a slide of that, is one designation. They're wishing to change that. And then zoning is something different. That's a zoning map that is somewhat consistent with the land use plan, but sometimes it differs. And every decision that the Common Council makes has to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. The last thing I want to state before I get started is the PD is part of the public hearing. I'm going to talk about this PD. A PD is a plan development overlay, but that's not on the agenda tonight. We want to get the feedback from the citizens to see what their thoughts are. We're still working through that with the applicant, but we are on the agenda later this evening is action on the comprehensive plan amendment to change that book, and then the map in the book, and then the rezoning is to change the zoning map. So the property that we're talking about is on the corner of two county trunk highways, County Trunk Highway K and P. And all of this, I kind of left this in the map. This is Prairie Creek Ridge, the earlier subdivisions. This is, you can see it's phase number 11. So 1 through 10 is all of this. It's been a work in progress for many years. We also have St. Matthew's Church. That's really important to see that. We have Meadowview School. And then this area, we're going to talk a little bit later, this vacant land down here. So it's a little hard to see, but we have, I put the comprehensive plan as well as the zoning map, just partials. I cropped them a little bit to put out. It has this red area that's commercial on both the land use map for our vision out to the year 2050, and then the zoning map shows that matching it right there. There are some differences, like here zoning is currently urban reserve right here, and it's shown as future commercial. So there's differences between the maps, but you can see that we cannot allow anything except commercial use right now on the corner of P and K. So they would like to change that to reflect suburban residential, which is the yellow. And now whenever we change the land use plan, we always look, and the plan commissioners discuss this, we're taking commercial land off of the map. Do we need more commercial? Well, this is all vacant land, right, what I circled here. And when I did a little GIS measuring tool to see how much land that is, that was what, about 36 acres? 38 acres. And that is all undeveloped commercial land that's shown on the plan as future land. How much commercial land is 38 acres? Well, just to give you some perspective, the Olympia Fields area where the Sendex is and the Landmark Credit Union and Panera's under construction, that's 40 acres. So we almost have a whole nother Olympia Fields up here that stops here. That doesn't include this area. So I feel, and I put it in writing, that the remaining 38 acres is adequate for the proposed commercial need up there. This is not for your big box stores. This is the small commercial needs up there. So, you know, can I support changing this out of commercial? Yes. I think the church acts as kind of a buffer, and then at that point, it can go to residential on that area. So this is what the development would look like. We had a proposal for this area to change it several years ago to apartments, and that was not well received by the community. We had a public hearing. There was a lot of vocal people at that meeting. One thing that came out of that was to re-examine our housing ratios, and we've been tracking that ever since. The council established a 60-35-5, 60% single-family maximum, or not maximum, but a minimum of 60% single-family, and then not to exceed 35 for multifamily, and then 5% duplex. So with this development, I just want you to know what would that do to the housing ratios. It takes us right in line with that. We'd be at 60.1% for single family. We'd be at 35.1 for multifamily, and then 4.7% for duplex with that in. So that is very close to the housing ratio. And as we get more single family, the duplex and the multifamily will drop. But this is the proposed layout. I'll keep this up on the screen. I'll talk about it a little bit. Being on 2 county trunk highways, there would be no direct access to County Trunk Highway K. In fact, they would put a mound, they would put some stormwater facilities in, they would put their fencing in that they currently have, they'd probably put some landscaping in up there. And then as you come down Highway P, there'd be no access until way south to Periwinkle Drive. There'd be no direct access to Periwinkle from these lots. Everything would be internal. Their road pattern, this road here, we're working on getting that extended from St. Matthew's Church. That would tie in. And then this gets you to our city park right here. There'd be some parking stalls. All of this, there'd be a landscaping buffer here with no access there. And then all the lots would be throughout this. This has already been approved over here, so we're focusing on this is actually 90 lots. And they're all single family. There would be full sidewalk and connectivity to the park. They are asking for a planned development, which is not on the agenda tonight, but it's something that we'd like to get feedback on. These lots are slightly less size and width, and the setbacks would be slightly reduced as well. So this is the lands to be rezoned. You can see the subdivision incorporates this whole area, but only this needs to be rezoned because the zoning map, this is already zoned single-family residential right here. So the Plan Commission acted on a resolution. That's what they act on to amend the land use plan. And then the council actually acts on an ordinance. Then there was a rezoning ordinance that was brought before the Plan Commission to rezone the 20 acres from general commercial district to SR, suburban residential, which is a single family zoning district. Recommend approval of the ordinance that's before you, as well as the ordinance for the rezoning. Getting back to what they're asking for, the planned development overlay, this is how it looks in the whole thing. We started out with reduced setbacks in one of the earlier phases of the development. So now they're asking to go back to that to get additional lots. So that's the layout. They're asking for some width reductions. The minimum lot width currently is 70 feet in SR. They would be asking to reduce that to 65, so a 5-foot lot width measured at the building setback line. And then a couple of setback reductions on a corner lot. They would like to go from 25 to 20. Only the 20 would only be on the one side that's not the front, and then the building side yard setback. Normally it's 10-foot requirement. They're asking that to be reduced to 7.5, which matches our utility easements. There'd be 15 feet between the homes. In exchange for that, there's a public benefit. We're working on the extension of Schumacher Street, as I mentioned earlier, that goes past the city park and the church. They would make potentially a contribution that would be detailed out in a developer's agreement that we'll bring forth. And then connectivity from the sidewalks and connections to from this subdivision to the Northeast Park. So this is not on the agenda, but the Plan Commission thought that was very favorable, and they brought that forward. This is just an example showing the lot sizes of 65 feet in width, and the lot sizes would be somewhere between 8,500 and 9,500 square feet in size. So with that, I'll close it up.
Thank you, Mr. Gallo. At this point, we'll hear from residents here in the community. When I call your name, if you'd please come up to the podium for this public hearing, state your name, your address, and what municipality you live in, and please share your comments with the council at that time. It's our hope that if there are multiple comments, we can try to keep it fairly concise and not repeat too many. But we want to make sure you have a voice here at the City of Oconomowoc. So first up is Jason Beiser. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was a J. Come on. Yes, please. Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Jason Beaver. I live at W359N6702 Brown Street in the village of Lac La Belle now. Just like to state, I don't have any objections to the rezoning, but I do object the additional entrance onto Highway P. We already have increased traffic with the subdivision already in St. Matthews and the school. Currently, the subdivision only has one entrance exit on Highway K, and based on the short ability I've had to review the plan, it does look like there would be means to route the roadway to Highway K. And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Barbara Babler.
Hi, I'm Barbara Babler, N65W34791 Road J, Oconomowoc, Village of Lac La Belle. My big concern is the traffic. As the gentleman before me said, Highway P right now is slammed. Target, these big semis up that road all day, every day. You know, grocery stores and everything. I'm not sure why they're coming on P versus going up 67. I have no idea. Have they done a traffic study on adding this 90 homes to Highway K and especially Highway P? And my understanding is there's no access on Highway K from the subdivision. Am I right or wrong?
That's correct.
How are they going to, that is so much traffic on Highway P. I would strongly suggest that for the, not just for myself, for the people of the area, because at certain times of the day, it is slammed out there. And they need to look at the traffic study and see the pattern, because it's important for the community out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Forkner? Did I do it right?
You did great.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Good evening. My name is Chris Forkner. I live at W356 North 6684 East Stonewood Drive in the Woodside Farms subdivision just to the east of this plan. I'm also a member of St. Matthews, and I'm also a property owner and taxpayer in the city of Oconomowoc. I guess I'm neither against or for this, but just from a little perspective, I moved out of Wisconsin to Colorado back in 2003 to a little town called Castle Rock, Colorado. At the time, they were about the same size as Oconomowoc is now, about 18,000, 19,000 people. Today, with this type of building, they're at 87,000 people. It's a massive urban sprawl. The other, they've talked about Highway P, which I'm very convinced is an I-41 alternative to get from 94 up to 41 south of Teresa, or north of Teresa, and so on. In my 38 years of public service, mostly as a fire investigator, I'm concerned about the setbacks at 7.5 feet. I know that when one house starts on fire, the closer you get them, the more likely the house next to it's going to start on fire. I know that it's been approved for other parts of the Prairie Creek development, and that's on the builders. I think it's something that the board has to take up with the fire department and fire code. It also is, I agree with the Periwinkle Pass comments on the Highway P, driving that every day. You might as well put an ambulance at the Village of Lac La Belle Town Hall or whatever they're calling it these days. I think it needs to just take some time to go through this because this is going to be a major impact. And as I said with my background, what impact are developments like this that are going up quite regularly in the city of Oconomowoc going to have on our public safety services? Police departments here, EMS and fire. And we have a comprehensive plan, but that's only as good until you want to execute it, then you might as well throw it out because it's going to change anyway. I know you guys have a lot on your plate and a lot coming at you. I appreciate your consideration as this goes forward, and I know there'll be more discussion. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you. Do we have any other comments for this part of the public hearing on the Prairie Creek Ridge Comprehensive Plan Amendment and Rezoning? Without any additional comments, we're going to close this part of the public hearing. This will be addressed later in the meeting in potential action items. We're going to move on to our next public hearing, which is a gas station conditional use permit. The purpose is to hear public comment to amend Section 17.108 conditional use permit standards of the city zoning ordinance. The specific request would amend 2 of the subsections within 8 gasoline sales. The proposed ordinance would amend 17.1088B to prohibit gas station deliveries between the hours of 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. and amend 17.1088C to address gasoline stations within the wellhead protection area. The proposed ordinance also amends 17.10810E to extend customer service hours for vehicle service and repairs from 8 to 8:30 p.m. Mr. Gallo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a zoning ordinance that is really the rules and the laws of the community. A few years back, there was a court case that said if the community has conditional uses listed in your community, you must create measurable, objective standards. So we took a crack at it maybe 5 years ago, and we said, what conditional uses do we want in the community that are uses that are allowed, but they're a little bit more intense than a normal use in that district. So we can put conditions on it. So gasoline sales and vehicle service and repair, like auto body shops, automotive repair shops, those are listed as conditional uses. So we created these standards, and I won't go through all of them, but throughout the years we've been tweaking them, I'll call it, because we really didn't know how these would impact the current businesses and future businesses that want to come to the city. So we're asking tonight that we remove under gasoline sales letter C. It shall not be located within the wellhead protection area. And the reason I'm taking that out is back in January, we went through a comprehensive wellhead protection ordinance, and we redrafted the whole thing. We do allow gas sales in a wellhead protection area, but it has to be, monitored, double-line tanks, all this spill prevention. There's a lot in that, so that's still remaining. The wellhead protection ordinance is on the books and all the requirements, but it does allow a fueling station to be in that location. The second thing we'd like to do is we still don't want deliveries to gas stations between 11 and 5 because, trucks have the backup beepers, they'll have the overhead doors that are slamming on the beer trucks. But I was asked, can we have fuel allowed 24 hours a day? Because, they have their operations, and I'm like, you know, that makes sense because I've been to a gas station, the local stations where a fuel truck was there and I had to try to drive around it. It's difficult. So if a business wants to do something after hours and just be quiet and have the tubes go into the ground, I don't have a problem with that. So I'm recommending we change the gas stations to those two things. And then the last one is, we have several facilities in the city that do car repair, and, you know, could they be open an extra half hour, 30 minutes from 7 a.m. to 8:30 p.m.? I don't think 8:30 is out of line. This was brought forth as a request, so this is more of an economic development tool, trying to be proactive and helping businesses that are here today and potential businesses coming in the future. So the Plan Commission did review the ordinance. This is our wellhead protection ordinance. I put that in there. That was adopted. This is only the first page. It's very, very comprehensive. There's all these requirements about the petroleum tank storage shall be allowed, but the Plan Commission did review these two text amendments to the gasoline stations as well as the vehicle service hours, and they thought that was reasonable and they recommended approval.
Right. So at this time, we open the public hearing. Does anyone have any comments on these ordinance changes and adjustments? I have no blue cards from anybody at this stage regarding this topic. Seeing no comments from the public, we're going to close this part of the public hearing. We'll address this further in council later this evening. I'd like to entertain a motion for the approval of the meeting minutes for April 1st, 2025.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? On to comments and suggestions from citizens. I do have one blue card that was brought on comments from citizens. This is a section that we have at every council meeting. You're welcome to speak. Try to keep it within about 3 minutes and share anything that you have on any topic with your alderman and the council and staff. So up first, the same as we did with the public hearing, if you'd please come up, state your name, where you live, and what municipality you're in. Savannah Kowalski. How do I say the last name? Kajowski. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Savannah Kajowski, and I live in the city of Oconomowoc. I am a first-time homeowner on McDowell Court. We just bought the house in July of last year. I am here on behalf of all of the residents on McDowell Court. We all hope that that the city will take over the street. We did buy the house with the understanding that it would be taken over by the city, and that was a huge factor for us in buying the home. As you know, a first-time home is a big deal and a huge investment for us and our family. My main concern is the safety of the street. It is very, very torn up, and we have multiple elderly people on the street who are unable to walk on there sometimes, and to be able to shovel the roads and things like that is really challenging for them. We also have a lot of young children. I have 2 young children who currently can't ride a bike in their street. It's not safe to run in that area. And we also have a new family there as well who just had a newborn. It's very difficult for them to push their stroller on their own street. And so safety is a big concern, as well as what we invest in property taxes. We feel as though our street should be walkable and safe for our families. So I hope that you'll consider all of that and approve it for us so that we can live there for the 30 years that we committed to.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other public comments from anyone in the audience? Seeing no further comments, we're going to move on to our agenda items. I'd like to entertain a motion for the consent agenda items item 8A, 1 and 2.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? On to our next item, Resolution 25-R3274, granting a six. Oh, they did, oh,
So it's
yeah, I'm sorry.
items A, B, and C under the consent.
Correct, not 1 and 2. That included, sorry, my mistake. On to committee reports, Finance, consider act on Resolution 25-R3275, approving the first quarter 2025 grants, donations, and budget amendments.
Thank you. So tonight, we have the first quarter grants, donations, and one budget amendment for you. The grants and donations total $191,000 this quarter, with the largest donation, of course, coming from Bank 5-9 for the 150th celebration. We also have about $60,000 worth of tree donations, which is not really a donation, it's a payment from a developer for trees to be built after the development has occurred, after the development is finished. And then, as Jen mentioned earlier, $10,000 for the library feasibility studies included in here as well. I do have one budget amendment for you, and this one's it's a housekeeping thing, and what I want to say is really it's more of an adjustment to the budget than it is an amendment. So what we have done in the budget is we budgeted our new HRA in each of the departments, but as the HRA is coming in, we realized that it would be better for us to keep track of it as a whole and move it to the city's risk management fund instead. So it's net zero, it's not more money or less money, it's just taking those budget numbers and moving them from the general fund departments over to the risk management area. It'll give us an opportunity to report that out to you better if we record it this way. This is a budget amendment, so it does take a 6-person vote. And what I wanted to say is the amendment that I have in here is really an adjustment. And I'd like to talk to you in the Finance Committee probably sometime in May about the difference between those two things and how we should probably be voting on those. Like an adjustment with a net zero really shouldn't take a majority or a supermajority of the council. So we'll talk about that next month a little bit more. But in the meantime, these ones will take a 6-person vote. Thank you.
Any questions or comments for Ms. Sullivan Murray? Like to entertain a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman McConnell.
Aye.
Thank you. Alderman Youngworth.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
Thank you.
Under Plan Commission items, consider act on the final plat for Prairie Creek Ridge Number 10 subdivision located south of County Trunk K at the intersection of Lynn Circle and Periwinkle Pass. Mr. Gallo.
Thank you, Mayor. We did not have a public hearing on this. This is the final plat for addition number 10 of the subdivision. Its location is approximately where this red dot is. It doesn't really have a good description. It's just south of Highway K. And it's northeast of Prairie Creek Ridge number 8, which is this section right here. So in the overall scope of the entire development, the different phases are identified by colors, and what we're talking about this evening is highlighted in red right now. So it's these final lots. This is consistent with their preliminary plat that this council approved. All the road layouts and the number of lots and everything it matches exactly. Earlier this evening, we held a public hearing on these final areas here, but this plat that you're acting on right now has nothing to do with the public hearings. It's only on the final plat for lots that you've already given preliminary approvals for. This is the layout of it. I zoomed in if you wanted to see the lot sizes and the layout there. The Plan Commission did recommend approval to the council for Prairie Creek Ridge Edition number 10 for your action.
Any questions for Mr. Gallo? Alderman Ellis.
Yeah, as far as the width, the front yard setback, and also the side yard setback, what is it in number 10 as compared to number 11?
Right, this is not a planned development overlay, this is your conventional zoning. This has the minimum 70 feet lot width, compared to 65 is what they're proposing for the next phase. And this has a 25-foot setback along both front. Corner lots would have 25 on both sides, and then it would have a 10-foot side yard setback.
Thank you.
Alderman Spiegelberg?
As a point of clarification, this does have a road that spills out onto K, correct?
This one does,
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
right?
Yep,
over there.
yeah, I just wanted
Right.
to say that publicly, yep.
Right. Addition 8, it was this one right here that we were talking about, that's already in, and that goes out to K this way here.
Right.
But these will have access to K.
Right.
But the new additions won't, right?
Not the public hearing
That won't be able
items.
to link up with,
Not as of right now.
with 8, okay.
Right, the future one here will be able to go this way.
It will?
Oh, it will?
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mhm.
Okay,
Oh,
Can go both ways.
got it.
oh, cool.
Okay.
Any other comments from council? Like to entertain a motion, please?
I'll move to approve the final plot request.
Second?
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman McConnell.
Aye.
Alderman Youngworth.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
On to consider act on ordinance 25-01099 to amend the city's comprehensive plan 2050 for the Prairie Creek Ridge number 11 to change the land use on the 20.71 acres from general commercial to suburban residential designation located on the southwest corner of County Trunk P and K. This is what was brought in the public hearing. Mr. Gallo.
Right, we introduced this during the public hearing. It's amending our land use plan. If this is successful, then we can vote on the next one. But this would be changing our master plan to show it from commercial to suburban residential.
Any questions from Alderman Ellis?
A couple of things. First thing is, can you go back to that one slide where you showed the percentages, 65, 64, things along those lines?
Housing mix.
Shows.
Good. Can you help me with your math there? Because I'm not coming up with, I don't know, maybe I'm missing something. When you add that up, that doesn't come up to 100%.
Close.
Maybe some rounding errors.
That's from rounding errors. Has to be.
60 plus 35 would be 95, and that's 0.2, that's 0.3, and then 4 it would be plus the 7, that's 99.
Comes up to like 99.
Yeah, it works out,
Yeah.
Hundredths of a percent.
maybe 99.99.
Yeah.
The other question I have is, why are we actually going ahead and reducing the size of these lots? What's the real purpose there?
Would you like that to ask the developer?
Sure, absolutely.
Mr. Bickler?
Good evening, everyone. Mike Bickler, Prairie Creek Ridge. Right now, you're not being asked to reduce the size of the lots, but it's proposed in the future come to you for that question. The size of the lots are very similar to what we started with in our addition number 1. Or, not actually addition number 1, our very first plat, which included, this was the city zoning, very similar to this at that time. The city changed the zoning as we progressed north to have 10-foot side yards. And the only change that we're asking for is go back to where we started. We think we can get perhaps a little bit more affordable home here so that people don't have to spend quite as much money as they do in the other parts of our subdivision.
Now, for a point of reference, we're not, I let that come forward, Kevin, because you wanted to see the big picture, but that's not what we're voting on tonight.
Well, it was a question I had, so I wanted to
No,
ask.
no, it was, understands, but that's something that they still have to come back, and that has not happened yet. This is the first phase of this going forward.
I just have one final. Is it my understanding, I just heard that in that number 11, that they will be able to get 2K?
Yes. Periwinkle Pass is actually connected to Highway K at McMahon Road currently. So Jason has a different layout here of the entire subdivision, which would show that Periwinkle Pass would also eventually connect. Here we go.
You just have to go to south and then west to get there. You can't go directly
Periwinkle
north.
Pass is paved right to this point right now. And it goes all the way up, and McMahon Road is right here, and Periwinkle Pass comes in here. We put bypass lanes on Highway K at the county instruction, which were never there. And we moved some telephone poles and some high-tension wires and so on that needed to be moved, that the county asked for. So that's all been done here at Highway K. So anybody that wants to leave any part of the subdivision can access Highway K through Periwinkle. This is connected all the way down, all the way through. Over here, this is Wayland. That comes all the way around the park here, and then Periwinkle picks up and goes this way. There will be 2 additional 20-stall parking spaces paved on Periwinkle here, one in this addition right now, and the other in addition 11.
And you said that in number 1, we had originally the same,
Actually, in the purple here, and in this area right here, the green was our addition number 1. So this was our first plat, right here. Then we moved to addition number 1 because we were short on fill over here.
okay.
And even though this was master planned and approved, we couldn't build this out at the time, so we moved over here. And then we came back and filled this in. All of these lots here all have 7.5-foot side yard minimum.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Bickle, this one's for you. Thank you so much for coming. And if this is regard to lot size, so we need to table this for another.
Needs to be tabled, yes.
It's relevant until for desire to develop, though? Can I ask it?
Give it,
With regards
we're
to
not,
zoning,
we're not
making-
talking lot sizes. I gave some leniency here. We're talking about rezoning. If you say it's relevant, I'll give you a shot. Go for it.
Is the desire to develop this property tied directly to the lot size requirement? Like in the future, if we were to turn it down, are you not going to develop this as residential?
That's a good question. We planned this for some sort of residential. Since we purchased it, we did ask for apartments years ago. And we were told at the time that the city had met the maximum number of apartments that they wanted. And so we stepped back and came in with, we did have to pay more money for that corner parcel because it was commercially zoned. We felt it would be better use as residential. So.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
I have a question for Jason. Could you put up that slide again that shows the commercial, that whole strip? It's got this strip, and then we go into St. Matthews, and then that strip below it. Yeah, right there. So you feel like if we're taking this away, we still have adequate, is what you're saying. How about, how far does this go? I can't tell. Like south of Quick Trip to Lisbon Road, is that strip in there all commercial? Is that still available to be commercial?
Yes, it's not on this map, but the Quick Trip is right where this red dot is. And then it's south, and that's all zoned commercial
And
as
that's all zoned
well.
commercial? Okay.
Yeah,
So
so
that gives us a little more comfort as well if we're just taking this small piece away.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Mr. Bickler, do you own those properties to the south, those commercial properties that are south of St. Matthews? No, you don't? Okay. Jason, wondering, I mean, when we talk about that still being available as commercial property, I mean, that's until they come and ask for a change to the comp plan as well? Or do we envision that that's going to stick that way?
No, this is the comp plan right here.
Right, but they're going to ask to change it to go to suburban residential or, you know, just like we're talking about here tonight. I mean, that could happen, right?
It's possible.
Anything's, they can make the request. When we set this up, this was all vacant farm field, so we were taking a shot in the dark, and I did the width, about the same width as the Piggly Wiggly Shopping Center. So we kind of lined it up that we figured that would be a good width for the land use plan to show.
I'm just
that.
concerned that, you know, that we say that it's going to still be there, but we don't really know that for sure. So it's in the comp plan right now, but it looked like the zoning was urban reserve. Is that correct? Is that what you said it was? Which is like a holding zoning
The holding
pattern?
zone, right, though they can still farm that.
Yeah, so that could easily be switched to a residential zoning then?
No, if they came in and said we'd like to rezone that, they would have to amend the comp plan, and you guys make the final decision
Do
on
this
that.
all over
So
again.
The power's in your hands.
Okay, I just think it's important that, you know, if we make that change for that corner parcel, that, you know, we realize that, you know, that commercial land might not still be available. If, you know, they could ask to change it, but we should, it's important to keep it there. I think it's important to maintain, you know, commercial to an extent along that strip. And I appreciate, you know, Mr. Bickler responding to the council's request to put forward single family instead of the multifamily. So I think it ties in with the other additions they've put in there as well. I don't know how much it decreases the price point by some of these other issues related to the plot that aren't necessarily relevant to the vote right now. But yeah, I support the change.
I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved?
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman McConnell.
Aye.
Alderman Youngworth.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
On to our next item, consider act on ordinance 25-01099 to amend the city's, I just did that, to rezone the 20.71 acres from GC residential to commercial. We just did that, I got, no, we did the comprehensive plan, sorry about that. I'll start over, sorry folks, I crossed off the wrong one on my list. We're going to consider act on ordinance 25-01096 to rezone 20.71 acres from GC general commercial to suburban residential district. The parcel is identified as part of the tax key OCOC 0517.996.019 and is located in the southwest corner of County Trunk P and County Trunk K. Questions or comments from council? Do you need any further clarification from Mr. Gallo? Seeing none, I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved?
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Karen?
I think it's important to note that just because we're approving this tonight, doesn't mean we don't still have some say in how this lays out. Maybe some of the traffic considerations that folks have brought forward, because those are valid things, so we will be looking into that as well.
Call roll, please.
Alderman McConnell.
Aye.
Alderman Youngworth.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
Next up, consider act on ordinance 25-01095 to amend section 17.1088 and 10 conditional use permit standards as it pertains to gasoline sales and vehicle service and repair within the city zoning ordinance. That was brought up in our earlier public hearing with no comments. Council, do you have any questions or comments for Mr. Gallo?
I got one, Mayor.
Yeah.
So the reason we've got this wellhead protection ordinance, we've got a gas station that's already within that area, correct? I mean, is that the BP that's already in a wellhead area? So we already have something that exists there. This is kind of like grandfathering it in.
Right, we have a gas station right next to a municipal well.
Right.
Right.
So I think that's one part that, I mean, that's existed for, I don't even know, as long as I've, lived in
Long time.
Oconomowoc, so, then I was born and raised here. So that's number one. That makes sense. The fuel truck deliveries, though, I don't quite get that, Jason. So we're just talking about the beeping and the noises, and now we're saying we actually want that at night because you've been to a gas station and the gas truck's been in your way before. I don't, that doesn't seem to completely match up with our
There's
intent.
businesses either here or coming here in the near future that have asked if they could have deliveries around the clock. And I support that request. I thought I supported so much, I brought this forward.
Yeah, but I guess that runs counter to the current ordinance, right?
The current ordinance says no deliveries, so we'll keep no deliveries of certain types of trucks, when you have the,
I guess I'm not really compelled by, the argument you're making right there about the fuel truck deliveries late at night. And then the other question is on the vehicle service and repair hours. So we're bumping them from 7 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. And that's based on one business that's asking for that, or?
from 7 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. They can operate during that, so an extra
Extending
half
it a
hour.
half
It's
hour.
extending it a half hour,
For
right?
one business? Or one person asked us to do this and we're changing the ordinance for them?
Yeah, but this won't just be for the one business, it'll be for any of them. Just because they haven't reached out doesn't mean they don't necessarily want to. There's at least 10 vehicle service businesses in the community that could take advantage of this, and ones potentially coming here in the future could also then use it to 8:30 as well.
I think that's detrimental to the residents again. I think that, I think we're good at the 8 o'clock and I wouldn't be in favor of changing that. So I'm fine with erasing C from the conditional use specific standards, but I won't be in favor of the other things, so.
Alderman Spiegelberg?
Actually, I would concur with that as well. I think when we started going through all the conditional use parameters, how many years ago, I think we even had a hard time pushing it to 8 o'clock. I think there was some pushback from council members that even 8 o'clock we thought was pretty generous. So I concur with Shell Pepper on keeping that to 8 o'clock.
So I'll make a motion to,
Just one moment.
yeah,
Just one moment.
I don't disagree with the comment that, we haven't been reached out by all the businesses, but these changes will allow all the businesses to take advantage of that. We're moving at 30 minutes. Once again, when businesses come in, we don't always know where they're going to be located or what's happening. And we didn't see any issues when this item came up, and so that's why it's here, and we're asking for the approval of it. And the same thing with the fueling of with the gas tankers coming in, the gas trucks. As Jason Gallen mentioned, we're not looking to open this up to all of their deliveries, and those are the ones that really make a lot of noise. But when you look at some of the gas stations, they are tight, and if a gas station operator would have the ability to let someone come in after hours and fill their tanks, it's a quieter operation. It isn't all the backup alarms and everything that you would have with the smaller trucks that are coming in, bread trucks, convenience stores, all those items. We would want them to have that ability. It does make it for a safer operation, and just because we're allowing it doesn't mean that they will all do it. Obviously, these tanker trucks operate during the day, but if you have stations where it's a little tighter to get in or some issues there, they would then have the ability to be able to come in after hours, and that's why this item's here tonight.
so I'm going to move to amend section 17.108, conditional use specific standards, sub 8, sub C, delete sub 8, sub C from the conditional use specific standards. The portion that says shall not be located within the wellhead protection area, and no further changes. Yep, so I'm making a motion to only get rid of C. Yeah, that's it. That's the only change I'm recommending to the conditional
Second.
use specific standards.
So we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman McConnell,
Aye.
Alderman Youngworth?
Sorry, clarification. So we're voting on that change?
So, my motion would only take out C that's crossed out up there, right? We wouldn't be making the changes to the gasoline station delivery times or to the vehicle service and repair hours.
That's what this vote is right now?
That's what this vote is right now.
Aye.
Thank you. Alderman Altman Cloth?
Nay.
Alderman Ellis?
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg?
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper?
Aye.
Let's move on to our next item. Consider act on Resolution 25-R3266 approving the acquisition of public right-of-way for McDowell Court. Mr. Fry.
Thank you, Mayor. This item's been before the council a couple times, as noted in the background memo. Back in June of last year, it came before the council. We had a lot of the residents, and it was nice that the newest resident on the street was here tonight and speak their mind. I think you're still here. Yep, Sarah. Thank you. To speak their mind on this. She's 100% correct, and that's why this item was brought forth, spearheaded by Alderman Shellpepper, the alderman in that district. McDowell Court has been a private drive since its inception. We have a lot of private drives in the city, throughout the city, apartment complexes, businesses, things like that. The difference between them and McDowell Court is that they're newer, they have the legal framework to make sure that they're collecting funds, and they know that they have a legal obligation to maintain that road. They don't have that in McDowell Court. Sarah moved in, and there's not a document there that says she's got to pay for this street. They have no clue on that. And so that's why this street's gotten to the condition that it's in. And it's unique. This won't be a precedent. As I mentioned, we have a lot of areas like this, but there are only 2 that are on residential that are private. And I highly doubt that the other one would look to come in because of the condition that it's in and how they use it. So this would be the only one when we go forward and do this. Item went through the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission votes on land use. They look at land use, and that's where their determination comes from. They did not make a recommendation to the council to do this. But the council had already made that decision back on June 18th that they directed staff to take the steps necessary to begin the acquisition of the land, bid out the project, or design it, and then have it bid out. As noted tonight, that item did come back before the council for approval last time. When we approved the street bids, McDowell Court was one of those streets that was in there. So we made a commitment to the residents back on June 18th, which was my anniversary for those of you that remember the picture. But we made a commitment back then, looking to move forward with that commitment. I noted the project was bid, street costs came in slightly higher than what we had anticipated, but it's all within the range. And we'd just like to move forward, get the thing built, get it done, get it so that it's usable, so residents that are paying taxes can then take advantage of that street, will be a street, once we can get it reconstructed. So we would recommend approval of this resolution tonight.
Any comments or questions? Alderman Shellpepper.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. You laid out, I think, the situation really well. Appreciate Sarah coming forward to speak. I haven't met you yet, Sarah. Really happy you came. So I'm just going to get on the record a little bit, lay out the situation as well, elaborate a little bit from what Mark said. The residents of McDowell Court are asking for the city to acquire their street and make it a public street. The residents of McDowell have agreed to the process for the city to acquire the right-of-way. They support an affirmative vote tonight. In fact, the residents of this street have been petitioning the city to do exactly that since at least 1976. The property where McDowell Court development was eventually built was first plotted in 1884 and did not include a street. This poor planning decision made over 140 years ago has been a thorn in the side of the residents of McDowell ever since, denying them of a public street and city plowing services despite paying property taxes to pay for exactly that. So we have an opportunity to finally correct that error tonight. We know that if the street known as McDowell Court would have been dedicated to the city in 1884 as a public street, despite its small size, the city would have accepted it. And that's because Eastman's Alley, which is directly adjacent to the south of McDowell Court, was accepted and dedicated as part of the same addition in 1884. Eastman's Alley is a dead end and extremely narrow, just like McDowell, but Eastman's Alley is a public road. And the same should be true for McDowell Court. The best and highest use for this land is as a public road, just like Eastman's Alley. McDowell Court is made up of 5 single-family homes. It's not part of a neighborhood association. There isn't a developer's agreement that outlines a cost-sharing plan for road responsibility and maintenance. It isn't part of a large multifamily development with a single ownership group responsible for upkeep. McDowell is one of only 2 private roads in the city that has this very unique fact pattern. The other road is also in District 2, and not once have its owners approached the city to take it over, whereas the McDowell residents have done so repeatedly for 50 years, and many different iterations of residents, I would add. So the city's not setting a precedent by making McDowell Court a public right-of-way, and the city council is not legally obligated to make any other private streets public. The city council has already approved the funds in the 2025 street projects budget to repair the road and utilities, so the funding's there and the contract is signed. And the city council also committed to the residents of McDowell Court in a 7-to-1 vote just a couple of months ago that we supported acquiring the road to make it public. So I would ask you for your support tonight in fulfilling this commitment and acquiring the right-of-way. Thank you. Thank you.
Would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I will make that motion to acquire the private right-of-way, McDowell Court.
All right. Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please. Oops, I'm sorry, I missed you, Karen.
I just want to say I do appreciate Plan Commission, Dean, and everyone for their input on this. And I know that we had to push back from one alderman, and the cost came in a little bit higher than we thought it was. But in the end, I think we're doing the right thing. We gave our word, basically, to these people, and I think we're doing the right thing by pushing this forward, so.
Call roll, please.
Alderman McConnell.
Aye.
Alderman Youngworth.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
All right, let's move on to consider act on resolution 25-R326.
We pulled that out.
We pulled that? Okay.
We have a couple things that we're working on in that item yet,
Oh.
the alley
Gotcha.
item. We'll have it back here in 2 weeks.
Okay, gotcha, good, sounds good. Now we're on to the mayoral appointments. So we've already done the citizens one. Let's move on to the mayoral appointments for emergency director, a governmental director with council confirmation. Gina?
So the mayor has put forward the reappointment of Chief Brad Bowen to the emergency management director position.
Any questions or comments? I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion? Call roll, please.
Alderman McConnell.
Aye.
Alderman Youngworth.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Shellpepper.
Aye.
On to the mayoral appointments for city attorney, assistant city attorney with council confirmation. I'd like to open that up for discussion.
Is this one motion?
Yes.
Well, once the discussion's done, I'll make a motion.
I'd like to hear a motion then.
I'll move to approve the assistant district attorney,
City attorney.
city attorney, sorry.
Just a point, that the item is 12C and it's city attorney and assistant city attorney.
It's okay, you can separate them.
Oh, you want them separate? Okay, thank you.
So if you'd like to do it and approve of the
Yeah.
assistant?
Okay.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Any further questions or comments?
Are we just approving the one?
Just the
now,
assistant
it's
city
just
attorney,
assistant.
Okay,
correct?
we're gonna have another vote for,
Then someone can make a motion if you want to do the city attorney. Call roll, please. This is for the assistant city attorney.
And that's Attorney Eck, correct?
Yes.
Jeff Eck, correct. Alderman McConnell.
Aye.
Alderman Youngworth.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Mulder. Oh, sorry, Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
I'd like to entertain a motion for the city attorney.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the city attorney.
I'll second that.
Any further questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Alderman McConnell.
Aye.
Alderman Youngworth.
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth.
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg.
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
No.
On to mayoral appointments to council committees, Paps Farms and Joint Stormwater District, and the WPPI. So, we have a little thing for you here, guys. Wow, funky. Can't get it to go into play. Oh, I can do, oh.
Hell.
Just put it into play mode. There we go. So this is for public information. I'll also be handing out all the appointments to all the council members. So for the elected officials for this calendar year, Park Rec and Forestry Board, Karen Spiegelberg, Rusty McConnell. Finance Committee, Karen Spiegelberg, Chair, Charles Shellpepper, Secretary, Rusty McConnell, Member. Protection and Welfare, Jennifer Altman Cloth, Chair, Matt Rozak, Secretary, Eric Youngworth, Member. Tourism Commission, Eric Youngworth. Public Works Committee, Kevin Ellis, Chair, Matt Mulder, Secretary, Charles Shellpepper, Member. Personnel Committee, Charles Shellpepper, Chair, Matt Mulder, Secretary, Karen Spiegelberg, Member. Utility Committee, Matt Rozak, Chair, Jennifer Altman Close, Secretary, Eric Youngworth, Member. Library Board, Matt Mulder. Police Commission, Matt Rozak. CDA, Community Development Authority, Kevin Ellis, Member, Bob Magnus, Member. This is a summary of what I'll hand out, so you have it all, of all the different appointments of committee assignments. And you'll have that for your records. So thank you all. We tried to move some things around and meet some of the needs of some of the requests that were made to me. Stormwater, Paps Farm Stormwater District and WPPI are no change from last year. They are listed in your packets. I'd like to move on now to the election of our council president, our council vice president, and the selection by council as a representative to the Plan Commission. So I'm going to turn this over to Gina, our clerk, and it's up to you folks.
Thank you. So you'll all note that I have put ballots at your places for the 3 different positions that you'll be electing this evening, starting with item 14, the election of council president. So the ballots will remain secret ballots, and I'll be taking nominations by motion with a second, and then we'll proceed from there. Once all nominations are closed, then we'll go ahead and collect the ballots, and I'll
Do you have a question,
record the
Alderman?
vote.
We don't need a second on a nomination, do we?
We usually do.
We do.
Yes.
You know, you set your own rules,
Oh.
and you can change that. It's not set forth in the statute. The statute says the council at its first meeting,
Yes, to
after
elect.
an organization will choose from its members a president. So, in the past, you have informally required a motion and a second. That is not set in law. If that's the way you want to proceed, you can proceed by organizing it that way amongst this particular council.
Okay.
So, if you want to try to sort that out right now, you can do that.
It's up to you guys.
I just think with the limited amount of people we have, a
Yeah.
second
Is that okay? I'm okay with it.
So Gina will run this, because I'm out of this,
Okay.
so.
So it looks like that's unanimous, that's where we're going to proceed with just the motion.
Good idea.
Without a second.
One other question. I think we had this 2 years ago where we only had like one person nominated for one of the positions. And I think we had this last year too with one of them as well. That if nobody else is nominated, then it was just a like all in favor.
It was a
Sure.
vote by acclamation.
Acclamation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so any other questions? Alderman Ellis?
Oh, I just want to get this started.
Okay.
All right. So I want to go ahead and nominate Matt Rosick for president.
Okay, I have a nomination for Matt Rosick. Are there any other nominations? No other nominations? Then I'll close the nominations, and you have the ballots at your stations if you want to go ahead. Oh, it's,
We don't
sorry,
need to.
one. Okay, it's late.
Vote to
So-
approve by acclamation.
So let's take a vote for approval by acclamation then. Do you want to just all sign aye?
Yep.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then that's unanimous. Okay, and then we'll move on to 15, which will be election of council vice president.
I'll move to approve the council vice president nominate the council vice president as Alderwoman Karen Spiegelberg.
Okay. And are there any additional nominations for council vice president?
I'd like to move council, recommend Jennifer Altman-Cloth.
Okay. And are there any other nominations? No other nominations? I'll close nominations, and then I'll accept your written ballots with your votes. I'll collect them. If you don't mind passing them. Here, thank you. You can fold it in half, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's right, so, because it didn't, let me give you the right one.
Thank you. Okay, and then I'll read these off. So the first vote is for Alderperson Jennifer Altman-Cloth. The second is for Karen Spiegelberg. And another vote for Karen Spiegelberg. And another vote for Jennifer Altman-Cloth. And another for Jennifer Altman-Cloth. And another for Karen Spiegelberg. So we have a tie vote.
So I was asked to look into this potential situation. It's going to surprise somebody to my right. The mayor is a member of the Common Council. So when it says that the Common Council elects the council officer, actually, this does not even deal with the second in command here. Because at the council, its first meeting will select council president.
I thought they have to keep
It doesn't
voting
deal
until they
with the-
come up.
No, actually, under 6211, you are a member of the Common Council.
That's correct.
And under sub 8 of 6209, on all issues, you vote in the case of a tie.
Are you 100% positive?
Yeah. Yeah, I can read it to you.
So I'm going to have one happy person, one unhappy person.
Do you have the ability to abstain?
Yeah,
Oh, if I abstain,
then they're gonna keep going until somebody's elected, or there won't be a person in place, except
So-
for Mulder will continue until you get a new one.
Spiegelberg's still in it. She's a vice president right now.
Oh, I thought Mulder was the vice. Oh, then Karen would still be.
Oh, boy.
We had this 2 years ago, and I thought it was said that he couldn't break a tie.
That's what I
was
thought
asked to
too.
take a closer look at it coming into this, and I did.
Because you guys kept voting.
So it says the council at its first meeting will elect the council president. It does not deal with the vice president.
I thought the mayor wasn't a member of the council, that
He is a member of the
that he's the
council.
chair. He's the
Nope,
chair
nope.
of the council,
If you take a look at
of this
62,
meeting.
take a look at 62.11, sub 1 of the Wisconsin statutes. Will say, get to it. The mayor and alderpersons shall be the common council.
Okay.
So while he is a member of the common council, under sub 8, he does not vote unless there's a tie.
Okay.
So here we have a tie on an action of the common council. He can vote.
I have a question. I'm hoping I can ask this question. So I have a question for Karen, and I also have one for Jennifer. And it's the same question. Why do you want to be vice president?
Is there a discussion right now? I mean, is that part of what's happening here?
Can I do that, or is that?
Is that legal to
It's
do?
up to you.
It's up to me. So I think that's a fair question. Ask your question.
Karen?
Thanks, I appreciate it. I think with my seniority on the council and having been a part of being vice president for a couple years at least now, I'm looking forward to continuing on with that leadership position, working with the mayor, working with the president of the council, Rozek.
Jennifer?
I'll be honest, I wasn't expected to answer that tonight. To be honest, I think, I don't have the seniority, that I can't argue. I can say that I am very engaged in terms of attending meetings that are outside of meetings that I'm appointed to. Even if I don't attend something, I know I still look at the meetings or the agenda items. Just today, I had a very unique opportunity to meet with a state senator to talk about an issue that's very near and dear to me within the city. I spent my day in Madison. I do a lot outside of what we do just here. And I would like this opportunity.
So for the new council members, just so that you're aware, the council elects president and vice president. Historically, from what I've learned, is that it's pretty much a position that if the mayor is not able to fulfill their role, then the president would step in and run a meeting, or the vice president after that. Is there anything more than that?
No, but I wanted to point out that we don't have our entire council here. And while the election of the council president is mandated tonight, vice president election is not mandated by statute. So
And I'm going to
perhaps-
make a
Just
motion.
Wait, just let everybody sink that in before you jump on
I
it.
think he's going to make a motion to table.
That's exactly what I'm
No,
going to do. I think at this point, what we should do is we should table this until 2 weeks when Matt's come back, and Matt's, I like that, huh? And then we can go ahead and finalize this. I think you're 100% right. I don't think it's fair for either candidate at this point to be approved or not approved, not knowing what the other two would actually vote.
And before you make that decision to do that, I will let you know my decision is that I think the council should pick this person, not me. So I would abstain from this and give you another chance to re-vote. So you have a couple options. You can either re-vote. I'm going to abstain.
There's a motion to table, which is not debatable.
And
If there's
no.
a second.
If there's a second?
I would like to, can I add to that? If we table that, I would also like to table Plan Commission as well.
Can we do plan commission?
Plan commission is not mandated by statute to be filled tonight.
Okay, but we have, well, our next meeting is just before plan commission. So we'll still be okay to fulfill the plan commission.
April 30th?
If it isn't filled,
Then
then
the other person stays on?
Okay.
Jennifer's still on.
You're still on.
Alderman
Okay.
Cloth is still on.
You can call me
Okay.
Jennifer.
So we have a motion to table. Do you want to adjust that to include both of them? Or do you want to
No,
do
it's two separate items.
Okay. So is a motion to table Vice President?
So there's no debate here, no discussion?
If
Or n-
there
or no-
hasn't been a second yet.
Or no
Steve.
There's
revote?
no second.
Or no revote?
If there's no second, it dies.
Second to table it, correct?
Correct.
Um,
So right now, we have a motion to table vice president.
So here's my
Without a
question. What are we
second, it
So are
dies.
we tabling the candidates as they currently are presented, or we're tabling the entire vote on vice president? And that the whole thing starts over again in 2 weeks
Then we have to
with
ask that.
nominations and all that?
Start all over again.
Starts all over.
Yeah.
With the exception of the president.
Right.
So the president's done.
President's done.
Done.
Or do we try
Or
and
you guys
revote
can
tonight?
fist fight it out.
Not picking up, I'm not saying that word.
I'll
So
second
right
it.
now, I have a motion to table. Do I have a second? Yes or no?
Second, Youngworth. Second, Youngworth.
So there's a second. So we have a motion and a second. Call roll, please.
Alderman McConnell,
Aye.
Alderman Youngworth,
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth,
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg,
Nay.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
So Vice President will go on to our next council meeting. Our next item up is selection of council representative to Plan Commission.
I'd like to table that, postpone that as well to the next meeting.
I'll second that.
Any further discussions or comments? Call roll.
Alderman McConnell,
Aye.
Alderman Youngworth,
Aye.
Alderman Altman Cloth,
Aye.
Alderman Ellis.
Aye.
Alderman Spiegelberg,
Aye.
Alderman Shell Pepper.
Aye.
Thank you. That'll be tabled and move forward. Any comments from the aldermen at this time?
Thank you.
Rusty?
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's met with me and let me ask all of my dumb introductory questions. There's more coming, just so you know. But you guys have been great so far. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Karen?
Yeah, and I just want to say welcome to the 2 new members. I think you guys are going to bring great value to the council, and I'm looking forward to working with you.
Looking forward to it.
Any other comments from aldermen? Comments from the mayor. I have a couple proclamations to read. Before I read those, I just want to, again, wish you both the best and thank you for your service to our community. Really looking forward to working with you. I think we've got a great group. And I'd like to read the Knights of Columbus Proclamation. Whereas treatment and care of persons with intellectual disabilities has been a special project for assistance by the Wisconsin State Council Knights of Columbus, and whereas in 1974, the state of local councils of the Knights of Columbus have conducted annual fundraisers in the communities of Wisconsin, with proceeds of the endeavor donated to not-for-profit agencies serving persons with intellectual disabilities. And whereas the Knights of Columbus Council Number 2487 of the City of Oconomowoc will be joining other Knights of Columbus councils in the state by conducting a local fundraising drive for this worthwhile cause. Now therefore, I, Robert P. Magnus, Mayor of the City of Oconomowoc, do hereby proclaim May 9th through May 11th, 2025 as Knights of Columbus Day to aid persons with intellectual disabilities, and urge all citizens to take cognizance of the special events arranged for that time. The second proclamation, this proclamation is for Arbor Day. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for planting trees. And whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and Arbor Day now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce erosion of topsoil, wind, and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat and wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable source, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, and trees are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas the city has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation for 30 years and desires to continue its tree planting ways. Now therefore, I, Robert P. Magnus, Mayor of the City of Oconomowoc, do hereby proclaim April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day in the city of Oconomowoc, and I urge citizens to support efforts to plant and care for our trees and woodlands and to support our city's community forestry program. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. I wish everybody a wonderful holiday season coming up. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.